I do love a Shirley Temple. Yeah. Actually, why don't we add a little bit of
Nice.
My mom would actually not even let me drink a Shirley Temple
because she thought it was alcoholic.
No, because it was kind of like a gateway alcohol.
It's a gateway
alcohol.
It's
like a gateway drug. It's a gateway alcohol. The Shirley Temple's a gateway.
I do enjoy Shirley Temples.
That's interesting, yeah. I just recently learned about pod, which I'm kind of embarrassed about because given that I'm a dietitian and I'm Asian, you would think actually that
Thank you.
that I would be well versed in terms of what pod is.
Here's to spilling the cold tea.
Cheers.
Episode
two. I got that right.
Number 2.
Episode 2. Thank you, Ron.
Wow.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Really
oh my God. But I mean, we were just talking about relationships. We're moving towards a positive light now. We're out of code red, even though our drinks are a little bit red. We're moving out there.
That's okay.
I wanted to ask you about Gander.
Okay.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about the bar that we're sitting in, Cloud and Spirits.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit more about the background of the title, and then where does Gander come?
Yeah, we're gonna call him over. Gander, you better get ready, buddy.
Yeah. So with our journey, and there's a lot to fill in between, but we found ourselves in I think the whole world found themselves in a weird time. March 2020, April 2020, the whole world shuts down. And, I think a lot of folks, maybe if you weren't in food, they just kind of packed it in, started working from home and enjoying it. We started doubling down without any clear guidance from the government. We were like, well, what are we going to do? So we started pulling double time. But amongst all that, restaurants, bars, places were closing. People were seeing this as the nail in the coffin, or they called it a career. And I think the bar we were sitting in now, they were a beloved institution that had been around for a very, very long time, and they were ready to retire. And so we were given an opportunity to take over a bar. In April of 2020, in the middle of COVID, and while everyone else is going, man, what's going to happen with the world? We're thinking, let's open a bar in the middle of a pandemic.
The COVID crisis. We've got quarter life mid-crisis. We got COVID crisis.
Yep.
You have no competition, if that's the case.
So Gander, Michael, for those that, and it's still weird because no one realizes his name is Michael.
When he texted me, this is Michael, I'm thinking, who the heck is Michael? Like, oh, it's Gander.
And I had the opposite effect. I was like, who's Gander? I know Michael, but not a Gander. And I'm like looking at his WhatsApp picture, and apparently it's from 10 years ago. And I'm like,
I think if I recall, it's the model one where he's kind of looking at you sideways. But
he's still model-esque.
Yeah.
But we played basketball. He had done a little juice thing and pop up out of one of my kitchens, and good friends. And he's a bartender and mixologist. I called him up and was like, hey man, what are you up to? And he's like, I don't know, COVID. I think we're going to go to Mexico to party. They didn't close down yet. I was like, well,
do you want to open a bar?
You want to open a bar?
Let's open a bar and go to Mexico.
And he was like, yeah, sounds fun. I'm in. And we just kind of went. And as we were thinking about the name, we didn't, I don't even know how many iterations we came up with, but Cloud and Spirits kind of was thrown out there, and we were like, oh, this is kind of cool. It has so many like crossover meanings, and spirits being kind of this like fun, like mysterious almost, but spirits also representing alcohol. That was kind of like his half of everything. And clouds they're ever evolving and changing, and and they're always beautiful no matter what shape that they take. And you can kind of interpret your own story when you see clouds. So I think in our minds, we didn't want to just open something static. We wanted it to be alive and ever transforming and beautiful at the same time. So the name just kind of came together, and we kind of ran with it. And I think it's crazy to think that it's been nearly 6 years already, but I think we've embodied it pretty well in terms of the opportunities, projects, and things that we've done here.
Well,
we'll bring him in.
Yeah,
Dude,
Gander.
where is he?
Gander.
Is he coming around? Is he coming to the bar?
Yeah. I'll come over on
Oh,
this
there
side.
he is. Good to see you, sir.
Welcome to the bar. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Nice to see you again.
So I gotta ask. So you opened a bar, and you went to Mexico in the heart of COVID. how was Mexico, and how did that compare to opening a bar in terms of the risk and
To be honest, I don't really remember Mexico too well.
We had a real good time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a real good time.
But it was a whirlwind opening the bar. We kind of were working out of the space for the first year as kind of like a clubhouse and just spitballing ideas. It was basically a hangout for the first couple months until we really solidified what we wanted to do. And then once we did that, we kind of dove head first and we're all in on the restaurant.
Ron said that you built a lot of this. I mean, so you're good. You're a Renaissance man. You're a bar owner. You're good with your hands. You're a model.
I can't take all the credit. We had a lot of help with the team. So there was the big team that was part of Blackfin, and basically everybody learned how to do it from YouTube. Even me would just be here YouTubing how to do construction, how to paint, how to do some of the decorations, plant walls.
And just for clarification, we had licensed plumbers and electricians.
Yes,
we didn't touch the trade stuff,
No.
the carpentry and things that you don't need.
Yes.
None of that.
We didn't touch any of that, but you know, a lot of the design and vision, we just kind of bootstrapped it ourselves.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just put lipstick on it, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
lipstick.
yeah, a lot of help from family, friends, basically called in every single favor possible.
You know what the recurring theme I keep hearing from you guys is relationships. You know, family, friends, you know, team. This is like a core central like topic that like even in our conversation before we even came on, like these are things that kept coming up. And then what it makes me kind of think about is, you know, we've also talked about how do we strengthen community and the relationships outside of the team that you have here. And you know, you've been in this business for a long time. You've come in, you brought a lot of creative kind of outlets and not to say like younger vibe, but more of this like a different kind of vibe from the one that you bring. So my question to you is that, you know, both of your perspectives, what does Boston need? What does the Asian restaurant like community need in order to grow? We talked about like making the pie bigger so that everyone can have a slice. What do you guys see from your experience?
I mean, I can start.
I'll let you go first. That's a good question.
Well, I'll start by saying it's already happening, and it's really picking up steam in the last couple of years. I think a lot of kind of community organizers that are just taking a chance and reaching out. You know, I think when you work in the restaurant industry, you know, you deal with all types of personalities and sometimes not great personalities, and someone always wants something, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, on the nonprofit side, that unfortunately can be true sometimes as well. But I think it's the faith of when someone takes the chance to go, hey, I want to do this. Are you down?
Yeah.
And then, you know, maybe first time or second time, you're kind of feeling them out. What's their intention? But then you start realizing, wait, they're genuine in what they want to do. And then, you know, the first domino starts falling into place. And then suddenly word of mouth goes, hey, like, they're for real. I think this is really fun. And I think there's people doing that. I'm really pushing that now in the past couple of years. So I'd say the Asian community and then food scene, specifically in Boston, we are entering a prime. Like there is so much collaboration and creativity, and I think a platform and willingness to push the envelope now. For instance, concepts that are traditionally have been underrepresented, there's excitement around it. Like, you know, people want to know more about, you know, food from the Uyghur region in China, or like Burmese, or like Laotian food, and food that traditionally I think has been, you know, intimidating because of the unknown. But I think a lot of that has been hand in hand with there's talent here that wants to do it, but then there's people, community builders that are giving a platform and voice. And now the greater community is starting to take notice. And I think we are in a beautiful era of that, where there's a lot of support that's building one on top of another. So I would say, I don't have a creative answer on what can be done better. I just think more, and I think that'll continue to grow, and we're really still growing, and it's kind of like sometimes you don't realize how good you have it until it's all said and done.
Right.
We're in the middle of it right now, and I'd say, let's continue riding it.
Yeah, I guess taking that perspective, because we talked a little bit about this with our first guest episode when Christian Dome, the founder of Boston Asian Food Network. How far have you come? And also kind of getting to where there are folks who may not be as collaborative as you like to be. How do you, and coming from politics, I find that all the time. How do you assess folks, and how do you how do you gauge? All right, are they givers? Are they team players? So how do you assess those? Because that's how you've come so far. So how far do you think you've come, and how far do you think you have to go? And how do you assess folks when you build those relationships?
He's giving you
that's
a consulting question.
How do you solve world peace? So, tell me about yourself.
Ron,
you can solve world peace by feeding everybody, because food transcends language. That's how you solve world peace. But
touche.
Well done.
I would say, I think having an open mind. I think folks like Christian, who, and as much as he's doing, I'm sure there's been certain events that have been super stressful, and behind the glitz and glamour and the headlines and the beauty and the fun photos of how the event went, I'm sure there's a lot of stress behind it. But I think going, hey, listen, 2 events ago might have been funner than this past event, but it still happened, and we're still growing. And I think people that are in place that have that kind of resolve to just go, I believe in the mission, and may not have been as ideal this time around, but we're not going to let the public know. We're just going to keep working hard, because it'll all shake itself out. Like the people that care, the people that are genuine, the people that will help contribute, it's kind of like the cream rises to the top. At the end of the day, the folks that want to continue to be a part of that will make that special. But along the way, it's going to happen, and I think you just have to not let that kind of put, you don't want to get down about it. You just keep going, because it's always easy to focus. And being in this industry, you get 100 reviews, you get 1 negative one, and that ruins the 99 positive ones.
Why does that person not like me?
Yeah, but it's going to happen, and I think you just have to understand that, hey, there's 99 fans that are waiting for the next event, waiting for the next kind of collab, and you just got to keep rocking out. So.
And if I could add to that, I would say you assess people for an event by spending time with them. Drinking, eating, if you're going to do a food event, meeting them out, not in the event space. So just hanging out with the community more and building an actual relationship.
Yeah. And that honestly just brings back down to, like, at the end of the day, that's what Cloud and Spirit's all about, right? Connection, community, bringing people of all walks of life in the diverse amounts of events that you guys hold. So I think that's like, I can kind of see why Cloud and Spirit's Cloud. I think you mentioned this before. I think you are the spirit, you are the cloud, or maybe it's vice versa.
I think it was the other.
Oh, is it the other way around?
I would say the clouds are. It's not necessarily one person. I think it's just whoever is passing through at that moment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be me, and it doesn't have to be Michael.
Anybody kind of passing through.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so deep.
Yeah.
I still remember we were trying to think of a name, and it was COVID, and nobody knew what was happening. So we were like, we have the space. Should we do lunch or brunch or dinner or coffee? And clouds kind of change, and we were open to all of them at any point whenever they sort of manifested. And I think that's where the cloud aspect comes from, at least from what I remember 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of cloud kitchens going on, and we were open to having people circulate the space.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think the restaurant was not really that. And then once we kind of moved on from the restaurant, we really embraced that sort of cloud phase.
Yeah. And we've had many different chefs cook out of the space and host events and bring in all different types of crowds, and it's been really cool.
Yeah. Well, are there any, as we kind of wrap up, is there any events that we should be looking forward to? I mean, it's AAPI month, May. Anything?
Well,
on the bricks.
Christian is hosting a mahjong night in, I think, a week. I checked my calendar, but Wednesday.
There's mahjong. MJ has become a big thing.
Yeah.
I know.
We've also got
our producer and director Phil, who is off camera. Who one of these days we're gonna get you on camera.
Yeah.
Dude.
We love you, Phil.
Exactly. Thank you, Phil. Do you know what time it is, by the way?
No.
That's an
sorry.
inside joke. Inside joke. But I mean, Phil is doing After Tiles, which is based on MJ as well.
MJ Mahjong for people who missed that. Yeah.
So ironically, the two people, actually, I don't play MJ. Do you play MJ?
No, I
so
don't.
The two people who don't drink and the two people who don't play MJ are hosting something called Spilling the Cold Tea and
After Tiles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we got to do that.
We're open-minded.
Exactly.
Open-minded.
Yeah, never get high on your own supply.
And that is where we're gonna end it. No.
Exactly. On those prophetic and deep words, never get high on your own supply. I don't even know what that means, by the way. So
that's for political
purposes.
But thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you, guys.
Gander.
Dude,
this was a wonderful time.
Right.
Best drinks I've ever had.
This is great. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
And get ready for episode 3 coming up soon.